This video is brought to you by PrizePicks. The Browns have just wrapped up their second open to the media practice of OTAs. Keep in mind, they only do one media session a week during OTAs. So while this is the second practice we've been privy to, it's really like the fifth practice they've had. They do 3 days a week, with Wednesdays being the day that the media is allowed to look in on what's going on with the team. There was some interesting things to come out of some of the video that we got from the practice. The first thing to talk about is Mike Hall was walked off the field. I think that's important he was helped, but he walked off the field with a apparent knee injury. Now, obviously, this happened only hours ago before me recording this video. So there's no real word on what the injury is with Mike Hall. It looked like he got rolled up on a little bit while in an 11-on-11 drill. I don't know. It looks like a re-aggravation or a scare of a knee injury. Like, trying to speak from my experience, because like I've had a knee injury that's kind of lingered recently. And I know that sometimes you can have a moment where the knee pops and it scares you a great deal and you're limping for a little bit, but you could be fine later in the day. Hoping it's of that variety, that it's not a serious re-agitation of that injury. Obviously, this is a big deal for Mike Hall. This is supposed to be his first full off season as a NFL player. He's still only 22 years old. He doesn't turn 23 till next month. And he's still younger than like 8 of the 10 draft picks that the Cleveland Browns brought in this year. So still a lot of room left on his career. I wouldn't write him off, but hopefully this is a minor injury so he can get that full off season, because he just had to spend so much of his career either rehabbing or being on the exempt list that I just think it's given him a rockier start than what he should have. Because if you look at the talent and what he's demonstrated on the field, you know, he can play. It's just the problem has been consistency with him. He's just not been able to get the time to prepare that you need to be able to get better, right? Like, think about it like this. If he's missing practice and he's just missing the opportunity to be as good as he should be, right? He's also missing out on all the time to get better. You know what I mean? Like, this time right now, the offseason, this is where you get better. And he's missed that time for 3 years, unfortunately. So hopefully this is a minor injury, because I would love to see Mike Hall get back on the field as soon as possible. There were some other things that happened at practice today. Before we jump into that, I do have to thank my sponsor, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a fun way to earn cash while you watch your favorite teams. No complex betting rules. Just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Here are my picks for this upcoming season, AFC North edition. Jimmy Bernard, I have less than 475. This has to do with volume available in Pittsburgh's offense. Quincy Judkins, I have over 975. Browns improved line. I think the run game's going to be better with it. Chase Brown, under 900 yards. Joe Burrow equals less rushing yards usually for the Bengals offense. Mark Andrews, more than 475 yards. Lamar's going to need a safety blanket. Check to see if PrizePicks is available in your state. You could follow me on the app at Quinn_C to see all my lineups. Download the PrizePicks app today. Play $5 and get $50 in lineup to download the app using the link in the description. All right, so let's talk about the quarterback competition. For me, I understand, because I have been a fan of the Cleveland Browns my entire life. I've never loved another NFL team. So I only know what it's like to be a Browns fan. And being a Browns fan, I know how we can get during quarterback competitions. We get very tribal. We can get very, like, oddly kind of technical when it comes to this. Like, we start breaking down practice reps like Zapruder film, and we convince ourselves that everything in camp is going to matter to a great deal. I would urge fans to take this competition much less seriously. The reason is the future of the Cleveland Browns is not on the line right now, right? the battle between Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, while entertaining, you know what I mean? Like, you got Deshaun Watson and his profile and what that brings to this situation. And then you got Shedeur Sanders and his profile and what that brings to this situation, right? I'm not going to deny that the Browns quarterback situation is entertaining, but I don't think that this competition is all that important, because I think the reality is that it's likely that we see Deshaun Watson play and we see Shedeur Sanders play. Now, if we want to talk about what we see in the clips from OTAs, it does appear that without a live rush, without pads on, that Deshaun Watson is ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Like, when you watch these clips, and I'm going to play these clips as I'm talking, at least hopefully future me remembers to throw these into the video. When you watch these clips of Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, yeah, I do think Deshaun is ahead right now. The throws look a little bit better. To Deshaun's credit, it does look like he has more oomph behind his throws naturally than he did in 2024. And then when you see Shedeur out there, it doesn't have the same zip. There's not the same level of accuracy there, all of that stuff. If they make this decision early, then like I've said for the last couple of weeks, the earlier they make this decision, the more likely that Deshaun Watson's going to be the guy that they select for the job, or at least to put at the starting quarterback going into camp. If they let this decision linger later, then that gives Shedeur a better chance, because as good as Deshaun looks without pads on, sometimes 7-on-7, sometimes 11-on-11, no live rush, no real threat of a live rush, as good as he can look in those situations, the problem with Deshaun Watson is, what does it look like when it's live? What does it look like when a team makes him uncomfortable, when a team speeds him up, when a team forces him to play football? Practicing has never been the problem for Deshaun Watson. I know that people have made it seem like Deshaun Watson couldn't even practice in Cleveland, but practice has never been the problem. You'll find no shortage of videos of me watching Deshaun Watson practice and being like, wow, he looks like he's on track. Right? There are videos like that in 2024. There are videos like that in 2023. There are videos like that in 2022. Like, certainly, Deshaun Watson can practice football well. I'm not trying to discourage him or discourage you from being encouraged about Deshaun Watson. I'm just trying to give you information, right? But the problem with Deshaun Watson is the ability to play football. Like, when it's actual football, right? When pads are on, you have a pass rush that's live, and you got to make these decisions and throw these footballs under duress, under stress. That's where Deshaun has not held up. And we have 3 years of this data to see that he can practice well, but the football just isn't that great when it comes down to live play. So that's why I'm very skeptical about any kind of encouraging things that we're seeing of Deshaun in the spring, not because I just straight up hate Deshaun Watson that much, but because I have grown to be skeptical based on Deshaun Watson's track record in Cleveland. He's done this before. You can argue it's a different coach. You can argue it's a different situation, but until I see a different result from Deshaun Watson, I'm going to remain skeptical, and I think it's fair to remain skeptical about Deshaun Watson. When it comes to Shedeur Sanders, well, I mean, there's some stuff there that is encouraging with Shedeur. Is it enough stuff to carry an offense? No, it's not even close to enough stuff to carry an offense. And similarly to Deshaun Watson, like, the stuff I want to see Shedeur improve is the live game stuff. Right? Shedeur took a lot of bad sacks last year, threw a lot of untimely interception, and just did not have a good knack for managing a football game last year. Like, that's the one thing that popped out to me when he was a starter was, wow, I don't think he really understands situational football as well as I would assume that he has, given the amount of experience that he has, right? There were a lot of times where he just made decisions that don't make sense for anybody paying attention to the situation that he's in that football game. And some of that you can see during practice, but a lot of that's not going to be simulated during practice and can really only be simulated during the games. my opinion of these quarterbacks is my opinion of these quarterbacks. There's really not much they can do in shorts and a t-shirt to change my opinion right now. My opinion will only change when I see these guys play actual football. And until then, I have to assume that we're going to get below average quarterback play. That being said, there has been some shining moments in these practices when it comes to the pass game. I think the young receivers are looking good. Not just the young guys that they drafted, right? We did have this nice catch from Casey Concepcion. Everybody I hear that talks about these practices raves about Denzel Boston and the kind of job he's been doing and how he's been getting open. And it looks like separation versus NFL caliber corners has not been a problem for Denzel Boston. And it's not just him going up against, Dom Jones. No disrespect to Dom Jones. But it's him going up against Tyson Campbell and he's getting open, right? Like, this is the really good stuff that you do want to see from Denzel Boston at this point. But we're also seeing stuff from Isaiah Bond. We're also seeing stuff from, Jamari Thrash look good today, right? Like, that's the stuff that's super encouraging, is that these young wide receivers without Chad O'Shea there, who a lot of Browns fans blamed for the lack of development in that wide receiver room, no Chad O'Shea there anymore. And it does look like these guys are making some positive steps in their development in that wide receiver room. And that's a place where the Browns desperately needed some development to happen. So again, not trying to paint a doom or gloom picture here. I'm not really optimistic about the quarterback situation, but I don't think that has to mean that I don't think the team can have a positive outcome this year. I think it's possible that we have below average quarterback play, but win more games than Vegas thinks we're going to win, right? Get over that 6.5 mark. I think both of those things are possible at the same time. I don't think it's a requirement to win 7 games to have the best quarterback play in the NFL. So that's kind of my thoughts, the wrap up of what's been going on at Browns camp so far. Again, with the Mike Hall injury, you really want to hope that he gets well soon and that it's not a major roadblock for him, because there's just been too many roadblocks for Mike Hall early in his career. It just feels cursed at this point. The good news for Mike Hall is that he's super young. He's 22 years old, so he has a lot of time ahead of him to get off to a rocky start, but would love it if he could just get a full offseason so we could see what that does for him. And hopefully this injury doesn't stop that. As far as the quarterback competition goes, all 3 of the quarterbacks, they threw interceptions. They were all off tip balls. There were certainly some drop passes. Jerry Jeudy dropped the pass. There were some other guys who were at the bottom of the roster who dropped some passes there. So not good there on the wide receiver front. Quarterbacks, I mean, they look fine, right? But they should look fine in this setting. 11-on-11s with no pads, 7-on-7s with no pads. Those are environments geared towards quarterbacks, and they should look passable in this phase, right? That's what Todd Monken was talking about when he was making a larger point than just interceptions on 7-on-7s. He's like, hey, we should look good in 7-on-7s. That's the expectation for any offense. So there are a lot of defensive highlights this year in 7-on-7s, which kind of tells me where the quarterback room's likely going to be. If Deshaun Watson is an improved version of what he was last year, well, in 2024, I think that's possible. I think he will be better than he was in 2024. My fear of him being like worse than he was in 2024, I don't think that's going to happen, or at least it doesn't look like it's going to happen right now. He's going to be better than he was in 2024, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be like a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. He could just be below average. You know what I mean? He was awful in 2024. So if he's below average in 2026, that is an improvement to where he was. And I think that's probably where he's trending to be with Shedeur. We'll see where he ends up. There's still a lot that we have to see from him, and a lot of growth that he has to kind of aspire for to be able to get to where he wants to get to. I don't think we should expect much out quarterback this year. I think what's really going to start to get interesting is when we get to see this run game get some reps that matter, right? Obviously, right now, you're not going to see it, but really interested to see this run game. Quincy Judkins was also practicing a little bit today. He looks like he's ready to come back. So that's also another encouraging sign there. But that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Everybody have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.